America, Race and Gender in Latin America, Performance and Narrative Theory. She has shifted her research focus to Latin culture and to identity in the Southwest. Her research has been published in journals such as Journals of American, Western Culture, and Anthropology and Humanism. Please welcome Dr. Erickson.
And thank you to the organizers of this wonderful event today, and wonderful to see everybody turning out for this. I just wanted to, I was asked to speak today, and in thinking about how to sort of personalize and evoke the experience of so many children from the ages of 3, 4, all the way up to, 16, 17. I'm going to read just a few short excerpts from a book entitled Enrique's Journey, the story of a boy's dangerous odyssey to reunite with his mother. This book is available in an adult version, an unedited version, and the realities are quite stark and quite stunning. There's also a version for young people, those of you who have adolescents and early teens. This would be appropriate if they want to get a sense of what's going on. So this is the one I've chosen to read from today. Between October 2013 and August 2014, less than a year's time, nearly 53,000 children have been apprehended crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. It's believed that over 100,000 have crossed. In the past, child immigrants typically range from the ages of about 15 to 17. They tended to be male. And now we have a surge in numbers of kids crossing, many of them much younger than 15 to 17. Many more of them than ever before are female, girls and adolescent young women crossing. 6 out of 10 female immigrants, undocumented immigrants, will fall victim to sexual assault. Many children travel alone, or they travel with older siblings or cousins. And so in order to humanize the experience of these tens of thousands of children, I'm going to share a few details from the story of Enrique, a little boy from Honduras, whose mother, out of desperation to support her children, set out for the U.S. in 1989, when Enrique was only 5 years old. She said goodbye to Enrique and his older sister. He didn't, of course, understand what was going on and cried for his mommy. She couldn't afford to pay for school uniforms. They lived in a neighborhood that was beset by drug and gang violence. She had to tell her children at night to roll over onto their stomachs to sleep in order that they would stop crying from hunger. The pressure on their stomachs would diminish the hunger pains in their bellies. So I'm reading from Sonia Nazario's book. She's a journalist with the Los Angeles Times, and there are many, many wonderful books that share similar narratives. I think of Luis Alberto Urrea's The Devil's Highway. I think of Catherine Ferguson's Crossing with the Virgin, Stories from the Migrant Trail, and Philip Garrison's Because I Don't Have Wings, Stories of Mexican Immigrant Life. If anybody wants more citations or more ideas about books that are very narrative focused, feel free to contact me. Feel free to contact me at the university. In the year 2000, Enrique Montiño Pineda set out from Honduras at the age of 15, determined to be reunited with his mother, who was then in South Carolina. His barrio was riddled with drug-related violence. He was caught and sent back to Central America 8 times before he made it to the U.S. to be reunited with his mother. Like many immigrants, he crossed into southern Mexico by fording a river. He took off his clothes with fellow immigrants. He walked across the river and got out on the other side. He and many other immigrants rode on top of Mexican freight trains. They experienced extreme heat, thirst, and hunger. Once Enrique was severely beaten. He fell off the train into an orchard, hit his head, and was knocked out for almost 12 hours. When he came to, he hobbled to the next village and was taken in by some Mexican villagers and was taken to a doctor. But he almost died from that experience. He lost most of his front teeth from that experience. The bandits robbed him of money, shoes, and even his pants. People who ride on these trains sometimes call opposite trains when they're coming from Central America. They get pulled under the wheels by the wind and the pressure. They have limbs amputated. Our attention was called to the story, the heartbreaking story of one 3-year-old little boy who experienced that just this past summer, and he is one of hundreds and probably thousands who have had accidents by falling off the top of these trains. People call the train La Bestia, the beast. They call it the train of death. But they also call it the Iron Horse or the Pilgrim's Train. You have people investing all of their hopes in getting on top of one of these trains, not falling off and holding on until they can get to El Norte, our country. Let me read just one brief excerpt from Enrique's journey that tells about Enrique's experience. Enrique sprints alongside rolling freight cars, focusing on his footing. The roadbed is slanted at a 45-degree angle and scattered with rocks as big as his fist. It is hard to keep his balance on his tattered sneakers. Here the locomotives accelerate, sometimes reaching 25 miles per hour. He knows he needs to be speedy and climb up the ladder before the train reaches a bridge just beyond the cemetery. If he runs too slowly, when he tries to climb up the ladder, it will yank him forward and send him sprawling. Then the turning wheels will take an arm, a leg, perhaps his life. Se lo comió el tren. The train ate him up, other immigrants say. Enrique did finally make it to the Mexican side of the Texas border, up just below the Texas border, and he camped there for several weeks in the desert. He slept outside with other immigrants in a arroyo that would flood when it rained. He slept on a soggy mattress that he shared with a friend. Every day he obtained a bucket, and every day he would go into town to wash the windows of the cars of people driving through town. And if you've been to northern Mexico, you will often see kids out saying, "Hey, can I wash your windows for just a few pesos, whatever you care to give me?" He was trying to earn money so that he could purchase a calling card, just a few dollars, so that he could call his mother and ask her for enough money to pay a coyote or a guide to bring him across the border. The border experience, crossing the border, is very difficult, and I just want to read a couple of descriptive passages that can demonstrate Enrique's experience of crossing the border. Friends at camp warned Enrique against crossing the Rio Grande by himself. It's a treacherous trek from the moment you step into the river. There are whirlpools beneath the water, ready to take you under, and Border Patrol helicopters skimming above the water, whipping up high waves that toss you around. His campmates tell Enrique that he needs a guide, someone who knows the road ahead. And when you make it across the river into the United States, they warn, walking across Texas alone is out of the question. Without a guide, it is easy to get lost and wander in circles in the sameness of the brushland. The trek to San Antonio takes 7 or 8 days in desert heat of up to 120 degrees, with rattlesnakes, cactus needles that cut you, saucer-sized tarantulas, and wild hogs with tusks. Some migrants, dehydrated and delirious, commit suicide. The U.S. Border Patrol agents are equipped with helicopters, night vision goggles, thermal imaging that picks up body heat, and sensors that detect footsteps along immigrant trails. They move the sensors constantly so smugglers and migrants won't know where they are buried. At supper at San Jose Church, Enrique meets men who have been deported by border agents. One man who snuck through the desert alone hasn't eaten in 5 days. When he arrives at the church, his brown shirt, torn to shreds by cactus, hangs in pieces on his body. His arms are cut up and bleeding, pricked with thistles and thorns. He is caked with mud. The bottoms of both feet are covered with huge yellow blisters. He had to kill 5 rattlesnakes as he walked. He begs for a glass of water and a shower. Everything Enrique hears makes him terrified of snakes and scorpions. In the Texas desert, snakes come out to hunt at night when it is cooler. That is when the migrants are on the move. They fumble forward in the dark, afraid to use a flashlight. Many times when Enrique falls asleep, he has the same nightmare. A snake has bitten him in the mouth. He cannot call out for help. So the book goes on and tells a story about how Enrique gets across by hiring a guide and jumping in the back of the car of someone he doesn't know, people who are smoking marijuana and using beer, and they take him to Dallas. And from Dallas, somebody else takes him to South Carolina, where he is reunited with his mother. But he lives in hiding and in fear because he is not here legally and he has no papers and no recourse to try to get papers. He worked in the United States for many years as a painter, as a roofer, and he sends money home to his own small family. When he was 15 and had left Honduras, 15, 16, why he had started his own family. His girlfriend had their baby after he was gone. And so he sends money back to her now, recapitulating his history, it seems, right? And as his own nuclear family is ripped apart by this crossing experience. Then the mother of his child immigrates to the U.S. without their daughter, Yasmin. Finally, when she is 4 years old, he arranges that she will also come across the border. This is the very last excerpt that I'm going to read. Yasmin's journey for 10 days with Enrique's 17-year-old cousin and a woman the family trusts. The woman calls Enrique and Maria Isabel every day to reassure them. The girl travels through Mexico, stashed away in the back of an 18-wheeler truck. She crosses the Rio Grande in an inflated inner tube, just like her father. This is a 4-year-old little girl who was traveling with a 17-year-old. Enrique was apprehended by the police. The story is true. He was apprehended by the police in 2012 for an outstanding arrest warrant because he had been caught driving without a license, which he couldn't get without papers. He spent 14 months in jail, on the verge of being deported, ironically away from his wife and children, who were now in the United States. He was going to be deported back to Honduras. His lawyers, who worked pro bono, argued that he needed sanctuary. His life would be in danger if he returned to Honduras because people knew who he was now through the book that had been published about his life. And in fact, the author of the book, Sonia Nazario, argues that many of the children who are on the U.S.-Mexico border in detention centers now from Central America are actually refugees. That they deserve sanctuary in our country. And she has recently testified before Congress to that fact. After 14 months in jail, Enrique received a miracle. He actually received a visa to stay in the U.S. legally, as did his wife and his little girl. So there is a huge humanitarian crisis on the border, and now newspapers have sort of slowed down in their interest in this, right? The stories are not coming out as frequently or with as much attention. What's happening to these 63,000 children who have come since last October? Under 2008 law, U.S. law, Central American children are entitled to receive a court hearing before they are deported. And so because of that, and they receive health screening and immunization. But because of that, about half of them are housed in one of over 100 detention centers along the border. What about the other half of those children? What about the other 30,000 children? And I find this really interesting. Half of them are placed with sponsors while their cases are being processed. Who are these sponsors? Usually they are the parents of these children or their relatives who are already living in the U.S. You see the parallels with Enrique's story. It's the same story over and over 30,000 times just this year. Their families are already living here. Most of these 63,000 children are from Honduras, which now has the world's highest murder rate, from El Salvador, and from Guatemala. This surge of children came from Central America beginning in 2012. So whereas before 2012, you had a lot of children coming to find their parents, right? Usually under 10,000. Now you have even more children coming to live with and find their relatives and their parents. These children are very much like Enrique, from Central America, running from hunger and poverty, now fleeing extreme violence from narco-trafficking cartels like the Zetas, who seek recruits among the young and terrorize impoverished neighborhoods and threaten people. If you don't join our gang, we'll kill your family. And they're trying desperately to reunite with family and friends. So I wanted to leave you with that reading today and just say that, I commend the organizers of this fair for all that you're trying to do for kids and for trying to make Fayetteville a more hospitable receiving community for immigrants. We live in a place, in a country, where our own standard of living and consumption habits have been artificially subsidized by the low wages paid to immigrant workers in our fields, in our restaurants, in our service industries, and in the maquiladora factories along the border. Right? What we pay for clothing and food and hospitality is artificially low because of the wages people are making. We live in a place where our own demand for illegal drugs fuels the narco traffickers and cartels that have a stranglehold in Latin American communities. We live in a place where our own free trade laws and neoliberal policies contribute to the demise of North and Central American subsistence farming, especially since 1994 when NAFTA was implemented, and we saw Central and North American subsistence farmers lose their fields, lose their farms left and right. So let's hope we can take just one positive humanitarian step and care for Central American refugee and immigrant children as we would our own. Thank you.
Let's give her another round of applause, guys. Before we introduce Papa Rat, we actually have someone very special. We have Adele Gray here. She's a city council for this ward, actually. She was a strong supporter of the anti-discrimination ordinance. Let's give her a round of applause real quick.
It's great to see all of you here today. I'm so pleased with the great turnout for this fabulous, fabulous cause. thank you for living in Ward 1. I want you to know I'm Adela Gray, and I'm Adela Gray.
Mark the singer.
Do you know this lady?
Now I think it's working. Just so happy to have you here to be a part of forwarding this great, compassionate cause. And very, very appropriate for our great city, the city of Fayetteville, which is one of the compassionate cities of our nation. Thank you so much for being here, and if there's ever anything I can do for any of you, let me know. It was a great honor to be a part of the anti-discrimination movement, and we'll look forward to taking that forward. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
For our next performer, we would actually like to encourage the children to come forward. There's actually going to be some drumming opportunities for them to get involved in this performance piece. So we'll give them a chance. We're going to do that places. I know the face painting was hot. I tried to go over there a second ago, and there was definitely no cutting in line allowed. So I couldn't get my face painted earlier. And so yeah, I just doing a great job. It's looking really hot too, but we'll give a second for children to come forward. I think this will be a great opportunity for them to get involved in, and then we'll certainly give other opportunities that.
Hello. Hi. Feel good with you. How you doing? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Really, really powerful. I don't need a microphone in here, right? Yeah, I know. I love that. I want to get that book. I really want to get that book. So let me see. I will. Keep your break. Let me see if I can do this here without any feedback and just sound check out. Just do it when you're ready. Yeah.
Well, we have one volunteer drummer, so hopefully we're going to attract some more volunteers in a second. How about another Northwest Arkansas musician and composer? He has a focus on bilingual children's music. He's actually got numerous awards for this: 4 World Music Composition Awards from the John Lennon Songwriting Contest, 4 NAMA awards, including Lifetime Achievement. He is also a school community liaison and communications specialist with the Springdale Public School District. Every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m., he produces and hosts a weekly community outreach radio in the Northwest Arkansas. You can catch him at 95.7 FM. Today, he is also here representing One Community. One Community's mission is to promote communities working together to improve health, education, and leadership skills. So you guys can also stop by one of the meetings information tables to learn more. And without further ado, here we have Aubrey.
And all that you hear, people keep on getting these bios, and the reality is that I always say, I've been here for 20 years, believe it or not, and when I came here 20 years ago, I came to work in a recording studio with the intention of heading back to Puerto Rico. It's none of my business what was going on here. Didn't come with the intention of helping. I just came here to do something for me and go back. And you all changed my heart. What was going on in the community was what touched me. So I never would have written that bilingual song, What's Up the Pasa, that got that award in Puerto Rico, because everything there I wrote was in Spanish. So I just want you to know that everything that I do and everything that I have and my family here and everything is because of you all. I mean, this is not about one person doing a bunch of things for the community, and that's why I always tell you that, like Papa Rap, there's so many diamonds out there, many times doing things behind the scenes that we don't know about, and we need to go out there and find them and put them in the spotlight and help them connect, make the connection of service. Because what got me, what fit me was when I served. When I helped somebody and I realized that I wasn't really helping that person was helping me to change my heart. So keep that in mind, because there's so many people out there that's all they need. Just a little bit of that help in the way of bringing them along and not giving up. I know we all have a good heart. I know we all want to do the right thing. But sometimes, it's like compassion without no action has no traction. So we need to put that traction into it. And in the beginning, it'll be a little hard, a little awkward because of language sometimes. But we have translators that can build the bridges. And once you get 1, 2, 3, or 4, they will tell hundreds of more. And that's how we become one community. So keep that in mind, okay? And I came here to do some music today. Well, this is for you. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, my band, I think they're lost. So what's going to happen here is we're going to create a new band, okay? That's okay with you guys? And the drums are here not just for the children. I think we all are, a lot of people see the drums and they bring their child and say, hit it, but I know the dad is the one wanting to really hit that drum. So feel free, they're there to what we call them is play them with love, okay? And if you think about it, the drum is an instrument that every culture has. And my drum, I love it because I went to a store and this was like a demo. How do you say that you can buy, like what color do you want and what hardware do you want, because the hardware is all different. And I just said, this is like my community. All together, different places, different people, just coming together and being able to work a drum like this. I lent it to, I let a real famous musician that came to our area, a conguero player, and he said, ooh, that's a Frankenstein conga. I said, might be for you, but for me it's one community conga. So, okay, so if you guys, why don't you guys help me open that back there?